King, what is going on, my man? I hope you're doing incredibly well. The Christmas special, December 23rd of Smack Talk. Obviously, Christmas falling in the middle of the week kind of changes things up a little bit for us, but we're going to come to you every single week. That is our pledge. That is our promise to bring you guys the cutting edge content as it relates to slap fighting. We're going to get in the down, the dirty. We're going to get to the stories. We're going to get you the new guys that are coming into the league. The combine is still fresh of mind for a lot of people. So we've got a great guest lined up for you today. We've got Audrey Munoz joining us. She is going to be talking about her experience. She's trained out of Las Vegas at Syndicate MMA, a great gym that is fostering, truly the women's division in Power Slap, and real excited to see that. We also have Lance joining us. He was supposed to join us last week. He wasn't able to make it due to scheduling conflicts, but he is here this week. Obviously, wrestling royalty. We talked about on last week's show, like fourth generation wrestler, just the family that keeps on cranking out talent. Lance is going to be trying to make his way in Power Slap and kind of carve his own niche amongst the athletics within his family. And we're going to get into the prospects of why and how all of that came about, and when we hope to see him in Power Slap relatively soon. But we'll see what his timeline and his trajectory is and where he's at with training, what's changed since the training camp, and how he's going to look once he finally makes that debut. As well, a guy that we haven't heard about in a little while, Andrew Fields, will also be joining us on today's show. We haven't talked to him since his most recent loss against Vince Tracy. So we're going to see where Andrew's head's at. Does he still believe that it was a foul from Vince at Power Slap number 16, or has he been able to make amends with it and move on from that particular slap that Vince delivered? Obviously, Vince was victorious. We see rumors, I'll say rumors, but I see Vince Tracy trying to fuel some speculation that him and Robert Trujillo are next at 155. I know, Ding, you've kind of been adamantly against it, having a guy go for a title that's never competed in the weight class before. So we'll see how all that unfolds. But I mean, honestly, dude, Merry Christmas. How you doing?
Whoa, man! I don't celebrate Christmas. I celebrate Hanukkah. I mean, come on, man. How rude of you to say Merry Christmas in this day and age. We're supposed to say Happy Holidays because we want to include all people. I mean, what a rookie move, man. I mean, welcome to the show, Corey. Thanks for starting us off with a bang, and then you end it with this big old Merry Christmas line, just being divisive as usual. But you know what? I apologize to the audience. Happy holidays. No matter what you celebrate, we've got a place for you here. My friend over there across the border in the north, on the Canadian side, they're a bit less inclusive than us here in the in the Americas. So
You
again, on behalf of
You for real? God, Puerto Rican Hanukkah? Like, what's going on here, man?
hey man, you can't tell me what holidays I can celebrate. Okay, if I want to give gifts for 8 days, I can. Okay. But yeah, man, Merry Christmas to you too, man. I know even though you could pass for a Jew, you're not, so you celebrate Christmas. And yeah, man, it's exciting. I know a little weird. We're early in the day. It's a little weird for me too as I'm adjusting here, but nonetheless, happy to get it to you. And we wanted to make sure you guys on Christmas Eve were not being asked to split time or take time away from your families to come check us out. Although we do appreciate it. I'm sure some people were planning to attend. We wanted to kind of just get that out of the way, let you guys enjoy whatever the festivities are that you do, your traditions for family holidays. And so we decided to kick it a day early. But we do have some incredible guests, like Corey said. I mean, Audrey Munoz, you know, young, really, really young character coming out of Syndicate MMA. That gym's kind of a trailblazer here in the slap world as far as women talent goes. I'm excited to see. I mean, you got Destiny McCubbin, Taylor Minton. Obviously, we had Shanna Young last week on the show, transitioning over from MMA per se, PFL, Invicta, UFC background there. And then we have Audrey Munoz. A little different. She's not quite as seasoned or experienced per se. She's on the younger side, a bit newer into this, has a bit of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu base. But still, nonetheless, and I know you said it. You say Michael Michelle Brown. I actually think her slap looks like Destiny McCubbin's. So I'll be interested to see who she thinks she favors and kind of where she got that from. But nevertheless, exciting. And then, of course, like you said, third generation Anoa'i family, Lance Anoa'i, very exciting. Obviously, it's pretty unusual or atypical for us to have somebody of that stature in the power slap world, of course. I mean, this is the cousin of Roman Reigns, the cousin of Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, the cousin of Rikishi, the son of Samu, who was part of the Head Shrinkers with Rikishi. Also the grandson of Afa, who was the other half of Afa and Sika and the Wild Samoans. Like, deep rooted wrestling history for those of you who know. If you don't know, I apologize. Allow me to geek out and educate you a little bit here. But he's a guy that I think is going to really be. Um, there's going to be a lot of questions around what's he doing here. And I have some questions for him that I'm interested to know kind of where his head's at. So we saw him at the combine. Corey was able to talk to him in person a little bit. So we'll see kind of what all that will look like. And then, of course, like I said, excuse me, like Corey said, last but certainly not least, Andrew Fields. Things have shaken out now. Power Step 16 was October 24th, which at this point is almost exactly 2 months ago. Where are things now? Where do things sit? Obviously, the first time we've ever seen him, laid out that way. He's never been knocked out before. A guy that we really know for tremendous grit and determination. On the flip side, Vince Tracy, not necessarily a guy that we know for, one shot knockout power very often. Is strong, but he usually kind of weathers the storm and kind of gets you there. In this case, he kind of made Andrew Fields look unlike Andrew Fields. So I'll be interested to see where his head's at. There was some talk about fouls, so we'll dig into that. But without further ado, because I feel like I've been talking forever, Corey, why don't we get to our first guest? You are muted, so we can't get to our first guest because you're muted.
I'm back. Audrey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, making your not only your Smack Talk debut, but also your Slap News debut. We seen you at the camp. You came in right from the get-go. You had a unique style, signature slap. I can tell that you prepared. I'd probably say I'm not just tooting your horn because you're here in front of me, but you definitely look like the most prepared athlete going into the combine out of all 42, 43 athletes. Talk to me about your background and what allowed you to show up there and impress.
Well, thank you for saying that. I spent a lot of time with my girl Destiny McCubbin doing some training at Syndicate. But I started in MMA about four years ago. I want to say I was like 14. Started training MMA really on and off for the first year, and then after about a year, I was at Syndicate. So I've been doing that kind of on and off, back and forth, deciding whether I'd like stand up or jiu-jitsu more, doing actual amateur MMA classes, doing all of that. But the main thing was I've always wanted to do some sort of MMA anything, get my name out there, dip my foot in the water kind of thing. But my dad never wanted me to. So this is kind of my like happy medium kind of thing because he didn't want me to fight. And I love jujitsu, but I don't love competing in it. So this is like my happy medium.
Understood. So I'm gonna try to math here. So you've been training for 4 years MMA. You started when you're 14. So are you 18 years old right now?
Yes.
Crazy. I mean, if you're to make your debut, I think that'd probably be the youngest power slap athlete to ever compete.
Yeah, it's pretty young, but I'm ambitious.
Amazing. Congrats. I mean, what is it about Syndicate that seems to be pumping out, power slap athletes right now? Like, is this something that like girls talk about in the locker room? Like, is there starting to be this community feel and buzz kind of going on? Is it starting to be cool? Like, what's going on?
We're definitely tight knit, all of the girls. Everybody has their little cliques and their closer friends, but if you're not in the group with the girls, then there's something off, and it's probably you.
And that's the power slap in the corner.
Yeah, that's my clique. That's my clique over there. But no, we're pretty. All of us talk. We all I got into the combine on December 9th was simply because I was talking to Destiny after a mutual friend's birthday dinner, and I was just like, how do you like it? Like, do you like it? I was like, I kind of am interested in like doing it, and so that's how she got my information to Sin, and I was able to send it to him. So it's literally just we're hard workers and we're ambitious and we talk.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I mean, it's interesting to kind of see your background and you believe that power slap is kind of that middle ground. You talked about jiu-jitsu, competing in that, full MMA, obviously the plethora of, martial arts and the years that it could take to kind of mold. Do you kind of view power slap as like a stepping stone for you? Or do you think that this could be the thing that you're going to run with?
I think it would be the thing that I'm going to run with. Just because, like I said, my dad didn't want me to like fight. And I couldn't like disobey those wishes. So this would definitely be something that I would roll with. It's something that I feel I can do very good at. I'm a nervous person, but once I get out there, I shake the nerves off and I'm good. But yeah, I'm a hard worker. I know that I can do some damage.
Awesome. I mean, so if you don't view this as a fight, what do you call it?
Mm, I don't know. I would say it's like it's just a slap fight. I would call it fight, like fight camp or like because match. It's a match, but it's a little different. You're getting hit in the face and you're slapping some people. So I would consider it a slap fight, a fight. Yeah, fight night kind of thing.
All right, all right. Outside of the MMA training that you've been doing, has there been anything else, in your athletic background, any experiences that, give you the confidence that you can come in here and power slap and perform?
I've always been kind of stuck around more dangerous sports. I snowboard, not great at it, but I snowboard. Um, and it's just kind of one of those things like MMA and jujitsu where you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna have to just get back up and do it. Um, I mean, I've done like gymnastics and stuff, and it was fun and volleyball, but it wasn't. I like the singular sport. I did track, um, the where it's you. You don't have to rely on a team. And I'm not super crazy girly either, so this is kind of like perfect.
Would you say, welcome to the show. Thank you for the time, of course. When I saw your strike, I'll tell you just unequivocally, I may or may not have saw a sneak peek excuse me, from somebody at Syndicate, but I thought it looked exactly like a carbon copy of Destiny McCubbin, with maybe like if you pay attention to some really subtle nuances. Have you, as part of the training with her and kind of spending time with her, have you focused on kind of every element of her game as far as kind of how to deliver your strike? Do you feel like that's a pretty accurate depiction of kind of where you're at this moment? Just again, I saw it before you went to the combine technically, but I thought it was like I was like, wow, that looks exact. I mean, if it wasn't for a different colored hair, I'd be like, that's Destiny. But like for you, was that intentional, or do you feel like that's the case?
I definitely now I'm starting to learn like, okay, I don't want to go on three. I don't like three. My overthinking takes over. I don't love going straight um, with like a straighter arm, just straight back. I like kind of dipping down. So I definitely started with Destiny's because she's the one coaching me, obviously. So she was teaching me like the basics of, okay, we got to hit here. You can't go too far, too low, can't step. So I just kind of copied her to start with, just so that I had the basics down. And then once I had the basics down, that's where I could kind of play with it. Um, but right now, I'm slowly starting to figure out my own way. Yeah.
So you guys are, I mean, structurally you're a bit different. Do you feel like, I mean, what parts of that do you think are important for you to change compared to her? Maybe is there something with the reach that's different? Is there a posture difference? Because I mean, how tall are you compared to her?
We're pretty much the same height.
Really?
I think she might be a little bit shorter than me, but not
Okay.
by much. Yeah.
And then what about reach wingspan?
I'm not sure. I know she has a boxing background, so she's much more confident, I think, with just coming straight, um, like straight back kind of thing, kind of like a hook. I don't have much of a boxing background, so it's more natural for me to get the power from kind of dipping down and twisting and lifting up my like through my legs and hips kind of thing.
And you're looking to compete at 15 or 25?
Either one. I'm really good for either one. I'm walking around at like 128 right now. So I'm good to cut down. I'm good to stay around 125. I'm really either one.
What's your thought process on weight cutting and power slap? We've seen people. I mean, generally MMA fighters don't. They're like, I don't want to cut for this because I cut for MMA. I don't know that there's much of a point to cut in power slap. But we've seen. I mean, what I'll call them, organic power slap athletes for lack of a better description. But they're like, oh yeah, we should cut weight. I walk around on 187. I'm gonna cut down to 70 kind of thing. Do you feel like it makes sense? It's better. It's worse. Where's your head at on that?
I think it's a little bit different because MMA is more of like um, full body. Like if you're even a little bit off on the weight, it's a big disadvantage kind of thing. With slap fighting, yes, you're using your whole body, but to a certain extent. I think it's a little rough to try and cut if you're over like 15 pounds. Like trying to cut over 15 pounds is kind of rough for 3 slaps. I don't know. That's just kind of my opinion. But some people thrive on that cut. Like they get down to that weight and they're good at rehydrating. They know that they're strong in that, and that's just them. Like it's really, I think it's more personal preference, honestly. But my personal preference is 15 over. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, is there anybody in I mean, 115 is pretty I'd say it's pretty skin and bones at the moment. You got Jamie Henshaw. PETA has kind of come in and come out. You know, she's been at 25. That's where most of the talent are. That's where she's competed the last few times. Um, you know, is there anybody at I'll say 25 really because 15 doesn't really have anybody in it. But is there anybody at 25 that you were like motivated by that you're like, hey, I would love to compete against this person?
Honestly, Ellie Dempster, she surprised me. Like I never really like I didn't really see her much. Like most people talk about Paige or Mikey, but when she knocked out Holly Hood, I was shocked. I was because I saw Holly Hood's debut too, so I was like, oh, she's kind of like me. Like she's smaller, but she's like strong. I mean, I think she's stronger than me, but um, I don't know. She kind of just reminded me of myself. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, like I can kind of do this. Like that's something that I can look forward to is being in her shoes, kind of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like you've been paying attention. One of the things Corey said, post the camp was that a lot of the athletes they didn't really know like who was the champion in their division, and just simple things that it's kind of like you should probably know that if you're looking to climb a ladder in a new sport. For you, being that I'm assuming if you know Hollywood, I feel like I would consider you above a kind of a casual, right? That's a pretty like deep, inside baseball
Eh.
kind of thing. Um, I guess how do I want to frame this without being, without fluff and feathers here. But the ladies, I think, have had the greatest success as far as this correlating and translating to their whatever their brand is as an individual across the board. Like Ellie, right? I think that she's had an incredible amount of activity post her debut in Power Slap. Michael Michelle Brown has had a meteoric rise as somebody that we look at. Holly Hood has definitely made herself a name. Obviously, she kind of took a little bit of a step back with the loss to Ellie, but I think when you look at comparatively, numbers wise, as far as who's retaining followers and who's resonating with the fan base, a lot of them have been women. For you, is that part of the motivation? Have you seen that, and what are you keeping your eye on as far as what this can do for you as an individual brand?
Um, Honestly, the whole like fan base thing kind of scares me. Just because I've been a super keep to myself, anonymous person, and this is the complete opposite of that. But it's always been something that I've wanted to do, so I'm not gonna let like, no, I'm like this, and just let it completely take away that opportunity. Um, so I think the whole idea of creating that fan base, having people that look up to you, that's something that's super important to me. Um, I'm a nanny right now, for example. I have a little 7-year-old girl that I watch, and she adores me, and it's one of my favorite things to be able to give her that hope, give her that strength that she might need, kind of thing. Um, so the whole fan base does scare me, but it would definitely be so interesting and so fulfilling to be able to provide that for so many more people.
Now, obviously, everybody has a plan, but for you, if the phone call came, and you were excited, and Sin's on the phone, he's like, Audrey, I'm gonna do my best Sin Bodhi voice. Let's see if we can make it happen. He's like, Audrey, we want you to compete at Power Slap 18. Whatever, March, whatever. Let's just say, uh, you know, right now, we're gonna do it at 125. Here, your dollar amount is this and this. Your opponent is Destiny McCubbin. What's your response to that?
Sure. I mean, it's gonna be definitely interesting, like going from she's my coach to okay, I gotta slap her. But we're girls. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna get paid, and we're gonna keep being friends. We're gonna put on a show, but we're gonna keep being friends. Um, no, she's great. She definitely has a hard slap, so I'd be a little worried, but I know I got one too. So
Yeah, I know. I don't want to speak for Destiny, but I'm 95% sure she'd be down to do it. Friend, no
Oh
friend.
yeah.
If I don't know if Destiny has any siblings, but if she did, I'm sure she'd be willing to go up against them. She's a bit of a warrior. Final one for me. Taylor came on our show a few weeks ago and she talked about the wrist injury. I don't know if you knew that, if you see that. Obviously breaking her wrist in her debut. Um, you know, I'm assuming if you saw Holly Hood's debut, then you would have saw Chelsea's nose get broken, right? So you saw
Yeah.
that live, is that correct? Because Holly Hood was on the undercard, so you would have you either.
No, I actually did not see that live. I wasn't able to finish watching it.
Okay, so did you see Chelsea's nose get broken?
Yeah, I think the
Okay,
whole world
so
did.
so so does any of that scare you? Like, I don't mean I'm not trying to mock your age or anything like that. But at 18 years old, for you to enter a new sport and you see people like, oh, it's not that bad of a deal. The worst thing is you might get knocked out, whatever. And then you see somebody break their wrist, somebody get their nose shattered. You might. We just had a broken orbital. A few of them actually in the last month or so. Does any of that concern you? Is any of that something that's crossing your mind?
Um, 100%. I mean, I feel like any sane person that would kind of, you know, scare them a little bit. But that's part of the game. I mean, I've hurt myself in track, I've hurt myself in gymnastics, I've hurt myself in jujitsu. It's just the sports that I choose. I know the cost that can come with it. Um, but yeah, I definitely the nose one kind of threw my family off because they saw that. They're like, excuse me, you're what now? Like, you saw that, right? Okay, just checking. That kind of thing. But yeah, there's definitely some injuries, but injuries are everywhere.
That's a good mindset to have, especially given a lot of these for us are kind of like first timers, right? Like I mean, I was late. I was there for the Chelsea thing, and I knew instantly. I mean, I looked over as soon as I saw her nose start bleeding. I was like, her nose is shattered. I mean, it's broken. You could hear it. Like if you listen, you could just hear the bone snapping. It was gnarly. Chelsea's a gangster. Shout out to Chelsea Dotson for the way that she handled that. As a male standing there, I would have probably just like dropped on the floor, started kicking and screaming. She was just kind of like barely tearing up, telling them, "I'm good, I'm fine." Shout out to her husband John Dotson, who was standing there. I can't imagine what that was like, but I don't know that if I'm an outsider, again, most people talk about the knockout. Oh, what's the worst thing that happened? And a lot of the things that was around the women was that there's not so many knockouts, so there's even less of a risk. Then you see that, like the males haven't even done that. Nobody's had their nose taken over their face like that. I mean,
Yeah.
so for you to want to do that, especially at your age, and like you say, you're ambitious, my hat's off to you, for sure.
Yeah, Audrey. I'm just trying to piece this all together. I got a couple more minutes here before we let you go, if you're still good. But you kind of seem. I mean, you have 7 pictures on Instagram. I know you're all of 18 years old. Like why power slap? Like what about it makes you want to compete so much? I mean, because it seems like it's almost a diversion from what you've done in the past. And is that what it is that you want to try something different? You want to push yourself? Like what's that real motivation behind it all?
It is mostly that I want to try something new, want to try getting myself out there. This is definitely a way to get myself out there. I mean, um, didn't Dana have a interview recently and he was like, this is going to be big because you don't have to train for 20 years to get here. You can, you know, prove yourself and get here kind of thing. Um, so it's definitely me wanting to push myself, try something new. And hey, I know that I can do some damage. I know that I can take some damage. I feel like I would be good at it.
For sure. Have you spoken to Michael Michelle Brown at all?
I have not. She was at my gym training a while ago, but I never really got to talk to her now.
Okay, okay. No, I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen it. Right after the camp and one of my recap things, I actually think you have an opportunity to follow in a very similar trajectory in terms of career path as her. So if we can help bridge that gap, if you don't have a connection to her, I think she is somebody you should reach out to, someone that I think you could look up to in the sport as kind of giving you a direction and kind of a path to follow, because I think she's kind of walked that same steps, and she's really been one of the homegrown talents that Power Slap has really cultivated to have their own, and wasn't just a star somewhere else and kind of came in. And obviously with yourself being in 18 years old, you've got many years ahead of you to kind of go. Has there been any talk about when that debut might happen? Like, I know previously, this is going back to Road to the Title season 1, the current heavyweight champion, Damien DeBell. He was 20 years old. They wouldn't actually let him compete until he was 21. So he had to coach on the first season before they let him actually compete in Power Slap. Has there been any conversation around that? Have they loosened that 21, age minimum at all for you? Have you had any of that convo?
I haven't heard anything, so I honestly not sure. It'd be great if they could, but I also 100% understand if they don't. Because like you said, 18 is a young age, and so much is still happening within my brain and all of that. But I get it, but I also would love if they didn't.
Yeah, I disagree. You can join the military at 18. You can slap somebody.
You're right.
No chance.
You funny. I mean, you know what? Just like looking at the photos that you do have up on your IG, it looks like you truly love training. Seeing you slap in person, it looks like you truly love, and wanted to be there. And I think that's going to get you places in life. Just one actually caring, two showing up, and three putting your absolute best effort into it. So we appreciate you joining us, and you have a home here at Slap News. Whenever you need anything, feel free to reach out.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Take care. All right, Ding. What's your first impression?
Listen, man, I think again, if you've seen all of that and you're still making a conscious decision as an adult, at the age of 18, especially when, the world at her point in life is open to her, right? She's already at an MMA gym that's got champions in it. She's training around people who are older and have a bit more stripes, and so I think that they would all be able to advise her in one way or the other in whatever pathway she'd like to go. So for her to have that access, have that information, have those resources and support, and still want to do this, I believe that there's I think that there's a more well-rounded or how do I want to say this? There's a more definitive and has a better outlook per se as far as the result of that could be, because she could do anything, right? She's choosing to do this, and I think we see a lot of cats that come in and let's just face it, right? Without naming names, they just need the money, and it shows, right? When she could do anything that she wants, especially given that she's kind of at that. It's almost like she just walked into a massive room and she can pick which booth she wants to stop at, like in a convention center or something. And she's picking this booth for whatever reason. And I think that that's a better reason to pick it than what we've seen a lot of the time. And because she's 18 years old, she doesn't necessarily have, all of the same baggage that somebody who's coming from another sport or another discipline would have. So there's that. And then I think to follow to your thing, I love clarification if anybody knows for sure, but I believe the issue with Damien DeBell wasn't competing. I think the issue was it was something related to the house. Like he had to be 21 years old to. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was that he had to. It was about him fighting or not.
Is that drinking age? Is that why, with liquor in the house?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Was he couldn't be the head coach because of the vicinity or something. I don't think it was a competition problem.
Gotcha.
I could be wrong though. I'm just speculating. I'm just putting that out there because I do believe we've talked about younger cats and ladies joining before, and I don't remember off the top of my head what Bell had said, but I believe the reason for him not being able to compete was not being able to be the main coach was not because of his age, but instead it was that. Or him not be. I'm sorry. I'm throwing myself all over the place. Him not being able to compete didn't have anything to do with it. It was always about the coaching role and where he was going to fit. They didn't want him to compete against anybody at that point in time because they were still trying to figure out where he was going to fall in the grand scheme of all this stuff. If I'm not mistaken, we'll get that answer for you guys and we'll bring it back. But in just a few moments here, we'll be joined by none other than, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say two things. I mean, I think Audrey's got every option at this point. I think she can take as long as she wants to make her debut. I mean, she seems like someone who's doing this out of her own free will. It's not because she has to. She doesn't need a paycheck. There's definitely a lot of interesting circumstances around it. And I think I'm sure being surrounded by people like Destiny McCubbin and, if she's able to connect with like Michelle Brown, I think she'll have some good mentors that she'll be able to look to follow her career long term. But I do want to ask you something transitional wise. So let's just, play with me here that 21 is that age for now. We know that the upper end is 42. Obviously, they'll make some exceptions on both sides of it. Would you rather somebody getting slapped on the bottom side, 18 to 21, or would you rather somebody 43 to 45? Do you think there's one or the other that is at more risk, or one or the other that you would prefer more if you were to extend those boundaries out of the current parameters that we believe to be in place?
I mean, I think that there's a few different scenarios that you'd have to kind of drill down here. The first being what's the athletic background? If it's somebody who's taken shots and trauma to the head over the course of a 10, 15 year combat career, and then they're gonna come to power stop and get hit, I'd like to not see that person do that. I.e., a Mark Coleman, a Tim Sylvia. I don't think that that's responsible per se. On the flip side, 18, 19 to sustain, or under 21, let's just say, to sustain that level of head trauma so early in your life, ahead of what might end up being more combat sports careers is also concerning. But I think if you take two able-bodied people who have no combat background, really, I would still prefer 18 to 20, just because at the age of 43, your brain's not getting stronger theoretically, and it's not becoming, you're kind of exiting your prime, if you will. So I think I don't like to see older people getting beat up on. I mean, imagine Sin Bodhi. Like, I know he said he wants to compete, but imagine, like, I feel bad watching Sin get slept, straight up. Like, because somebody will do it. Somebody will be able to. It's not like he's invincible. He's a tough guy. But I've always said, if you stay, and I'll say this again. Here we go. Clippable moment. If you stay around the sport of slap fighting, whether it's in power slap fight circus, whatever, long enough, you will eventually find somebody who has your number, and they will lay you down on the ground. It is that simple. That's my belief. If you stick around long enough, your day will come. I've said it to Robert Trujillo. I will say it I don't know if I've ever said it to Damien DeBell, but I will say it to Damien DeBell. If you let guys hit you for long enough, the day will come that they will get you down. It's just that simple. That's my full belief. And so, yeah, I just don't want to see that for guys that have already been hit a lot of times, kicked in the head, kneed, whatever it is. So I'm going to say I prefer the younger. But if they are aspiring to be in combat sports in the future, even if that's football, then I would probably not. I probably wouldn't recommend it to start your career with the most, egregious version of head trauma.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so I guess it's safe to say that you're not a fan of a guy like Hector Lombard, then, still competing, 47 years old.
No, I mean, you were there, dirty boxing, man. Like, I wasn't excited about watching him, fight a guy who was. I don't even know how old Cannon is compared to him. 15 years or 17 years younger than him. And although he possesses power and he can put guys down, and he's done it, look at what James Cannon did to him. And James Cannon is not like known as an elite fighter, at that time. He's kind of a brawler. He's a bit all over the place, and he made the guy look like it was his first fight, at his age, and he got hit a lot, and it was fast. Like, it didn't take long, man. And all James Cannon did was just stay at range, hit him with a couple shots, and once he saw he was hurt, he pounced. It was that simple. Like, and I just don't want to watch that happen to a guy. Imagine Pono Paul versus Hector Lombard. Like, that's just, and he's a smaller guy. He's not like super tall. Mm-hmm. It just, to me, it just feels like kind of like elderly abuse.
Too funny. Sorry, I know I cut you off with that last one, but where were you going with it, Ding?
Where was I going? I don't know, man. Forget it. I was probably talking too long anyways. Unless your name's Dorian Perez. No, you know what, Fap? I actually believe if Dorian Perez gets hit enough times, and I asked him the last time we had Dorian on the show, I asked him, how long do you want to do this? And he talked about his dad and kind of how his dad told him, as long as it takes. I believe that if you play that game for long enough, eventually you're going to find somebody who can win. And it's just a matter of time, Yeah, I mean, these undefeated guys are undefeated. They won't always be. They won't always be. And I actually think, besides McKinney, Manu, I don't think there's anybody that's actually undefeated, like all time. Robert Trujillo has a loss. Damien DeBell has a loss. So
who did DeBell lose to?
It was somebody in SFC. For
sure. Was it Darius?
No, because they want that match. They've never competed. But It might have been. I don't want to misspeak. I'm not like a huge historian with Slap Fight Championship or anything, but I thought I heard something about Frank the Tank. It might have been Frank the Tank. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll have to ask him. But I know he lost for sure by decision, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, a guy like Damien, and I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's any secret. I think I've probably talked about it on the show before, but Damien DeBell, obviously he's said publicly that he's doing this to be able to compete, or sorry, to be able to get into law school and pay his way through. You talk about a guy getting, gonna finding his match at any particular moment in the future. I mean, a guy like Damien has talked about competing here in 2026 and potentially walking away from Power Slap. Once he gets enough money for his law degree, he's willing to walk away and try and come back 5 years down the road when he feels that the economics of the sport make more sense for him. Do you think that's a mistake or not? Because you're a guy at the top of this prime, a guy that just continually wins matches. Sure, you can say that the purses are smaller now than they will be, 2, 4, 5 years down the road. Maybe they won't. Who knows where the economy is going to go? But natural inflation, is seemingly pushing the sport forward. In a lot of ways. I mean, Power Slap has had a ton of sponsorship, kind of back it, get her in it. I'm not necessarily seeing that correlate to the fighter salaries. I think across the board, we have seen them rise, over time from where they were. Road to the title season 1 in the early days of Power Slap 1 and 2, it definitely has increased. I could see it doubling from this point within 5 years. If you were a guy like Damien DeBell, who's got as many titles as he has, would you walk away, save the head trauma, come back when it makes more financial sense? Because I think in Damien DeBell's mind, he doesn't feel right now there's anything else for him to accomplish in the sport.
No, I wouldn't come back. I would just walk, and I think he'd be smart to do that. You know, and I'm being as honest as I can here. I don't think that this is out of pocket per se. Maybe this is one of those clippable moments again. I don't know, but I don't. Who's gonna hire a lawyer that's getting hit in the head on the weekends? It's just there's just no. I'm not trying to be funny. I really fully believe if you are trying to get clients, forget if you want to work for the government, you can forget about it. But if you want to get clients in the private sector, as an attorney, in whatever, it doesn't matter, criminal, civil, it doesn't matter, personal injury, labor, whatever that discipline of law is, and you're getting hit in the head on the weekends for sport, if it was MMA, because that's more socially acceptable, that probably wouldn't be an issue. But I don't think in 5 years we'll be at a place where everyday people are like, oh, this slap fighting shit is really cool. I don't think that that's the case, especially not for people who are hiring lawyers. Maybe kids, teenagers might think it's cool, but at that juncture. But I feel like from a career, professional career and semi-professional career kind of mixing and meshing, I don't think that that's the right pathway anyway. Above and beyond that, if you walk, you should just walk. If you're going to become an attorney, I don't think he's going to need whatever financial, or economic stability that this will provide at that point in time anyway. I mean, realistically, let's just throw some numbers here to entertain some people. The highest number that I've ever heard that I can, believe, and I'm not saying any names, but that I think is believable is 50 to show, 50 to win. I feel like it's pretty economically cool right now. Like, I'd take $100,000 to win a fight. I'd take $50,000 to lose a fight. Like, so I don't know that. And again, I said the highest. I don't. And there's people who are above that. I guarantee it. I just don't know, right? I'm just telling you for sure that I know that's a number that's been out there. And so I don't know how much more economic you want it to get. I mean, you think you're gonna get paid $500,000 to slap somebody, or go away from a show and win? Like, is there somebody on a guarantee? And if there is, what's that number? Is there a time where we get to guarantees? I can't tell you, but I don't know that there's a world where all of that pans out the way that we're kind of talking. So if I would say when Damien DeBell decides that it's time to hang it up, he should hang it up for good. Yeah. $50,000, Fab. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say. Could you see 50 go to 100? I think it's definitely foreseeable. I think you'll see that bottom increase as well. Like, I mean, we're talking 50. And obviously that's not for the majority of athletes. I think that's for the select few, possibly a handful or less that are making that kind of money. So we'll see, man. I think it's an interesting topic and conversation to kind of talk the economics of sport and, how that all plays out as it intersects with career paths and longevity. And there's a lot of layers to this. That's why it kind of makes it interesting and why there's no one right or wrong answer is when you start layering all these things together and kind of meshing it and seeing how it kind of comes out. But what I can say, and I can speak with certainty on this, is that slap fighting is here to stay at this point. If I don't know where you've been, if you think up into this particular point that you think Power Slap is still going to fold, they're going to go bankrupt, etc., you're definitely living under a rock. I think there's every opportunity as long as Dana White is still involved in this. And we know that Dana has taken this incredibly personally. This is like his baby as when he started the UFC. He's coming back. This is a legacy program for him. And as long as he's involved, as long as he is active and they are rolling out the game plan that they're persisting, they're going to make an impact, not only here in North America, but international. I think people forget that. It's not necessarily going to be so much about the growth within the United States. I think the early adopters have happened here in the United States with Power Slap. They kind of help with convenience, obviously with Las Vegas being in the United States, being their primary market, but moving over to YouTube as a distribution partner, which I don't believe is going to be the long-term home for Power Slap, but I do believe in the short and potentially the medium term that this will be the home for Power Slap to broaden that reach and that distribution internationally. I think you're going to see more and more focus of Power Slap overseas, not only in the Middle East, but also penetrating into Eastern Europe as well to Central America. There's been talk about Brazil being a hotspot, and I could definitely see why. And I definitely know why they want to go to Brazil with the population, the fanfare that's around, obviously, jiu-jitsu, MMA, the UFC does incredibly well there, backing it up with that. I think there's great opportunity to grow the sport internationally, get the best talent in. And I mean, we're going to look back, Ding, in a year and we're going to be like, man, we're so far behind. 2 years from now, 5 years from now, like this is going to look like the infancy stage of Power Slap. And it's definitely going to move as we get going. But I know we have another guest in the waiting room, Ding. So let's get him on in.
Let's do it. Like we said, third generation Anoa'i family. He was at the most latest combine. He is none other than Lance Anoa'i. Lance, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you?
Welcome to the show, man. Thanks. This is not your Slap News debut, but it is your Smack Talk debut. So thanks for taking some time and spending a few minutes with us here on Christmas week. We appreciate it.
Uh,
First things first, man. And I said this, to Corey privately, and we've talked about it on the show. Post, the combine, we talked about you and kind of your prospects here. I think you're probably the highest profile athlete, at your group's combine per se. Just as far as obviously the wrestling royalty that you come from and the lineage of family that you represent across the board. My number one question, and I think a lot of people share this, was why? Why does he want to do this? He could do anything. The world is at his fingertips. He's a talented professional wrestler. Obviously, the WWE release is something that is looming. We just saw Jordan Oasis a couple months ago, have a similar experience. Came to Power
yep.
Slap, put all of that, what he said between that and the passing of his grandmother, the anniversary of that, if you will, and he puts all of that into a shot. And he, it was just a moment. It was like magic. A guy was on the ground in a stiffened position, and Jordan Oasis was declared the winner. What's your motivation for doing this? You could do anything. I'm just being honest, right? And I know that you know that. Why come here and risk it all for power slap?
So, and Power Slaps actually gave me an opportunity. They gave me the opportunity to come in and to the combine. Um, my main focus is my family. I have a wife and kids. I got to make sure a roof is over their head, food on the table, and especially right now with the holidays, everything coming up, man. Just want to make sure they're set and happy. It is something I watched, my former tag partner, Juicy Finau do. And honestly, at first I was like, man, there's no way I'm letting somebody smack me in the face. And then after talking to Sin made me feel very comfortable about it. And man, I said, man, why not give it a shot? When I was younger, I gave wrestling a shot. I gave baseball a shot. And I can't knock it until I try. And I think this is my go after right here to give it a try. Whether I get knocked out, whether I knock somebody out, man, at least I can say I did it. CM Punk, man, look at professional world right into UFC. Brock Lesnar, same thing. Everybody just gave it that try, and man, and I think that's one thing I'm definitely want to do.
And I think another half of that is obviously, Polynesians, I would say more specifically Samoans in wrestling have been very successful. What we've seen, I would say, the founding fathers, or the foundation that's been laid here kind of in slap fighting is largely Polynesian. Up until this point, I would say that number's been very largely favoring Hawaiians specifically. There's a Samoan here, a Samoan there. Unless my memory serves me incorrectly, which is unlikely in this case, there's not a Samoan heavyweight. So for
Uh,
you, what does it mean to potentially be representing Samoa as a heavyweight, and then also representing Polynesians across the world in a sport that is, I mean, it's overrun with Polynesians. I don't know if you know that, but that is
no,
absolutely
yeah, I
the
do,
case. The most successful
man.
slap fighters in the world have Polynesian descent.
Man, it's probably because we're all used to getting beat when we were kids by our parents. But man, and we were taking those slaps for free. But man, like just to be able to, man, to be a heavyweight, and I'll be honest, I do not want to go up against a super heavyweight Polynesian. I'll tell you that. So I will keep myself right in the heavyweight division and try to, just represent. Man, I even talked to my sister. She wants to give it a try. So man, just we're just trying to get it all going. I want to represent for the island, for my family, especially the Anoa'i family, the bloodline, who's mainly known for professional wrestling. And now to just to carry it on to another sport, power slap, and just yeah, just to make a name for myself and just to carry on, man.
What do you think about combining obviously, your family's done very well as far as, capturing the attention and kind of being that mainstay in pro wrestling, right? With the help of a guy like Paul Heyman. But when you look at, and I'll give you an example, I think it was Power Slap 12 in March of last year. Makini Manu, who's also I don't know if you're familiar, so forgive me if
Yep.
I'm telling you things you already know, but Makini Manu, undefeated right now, just recently defeated the Dumpling, who's considered by many to be, if not the greatest, one of the greatest slap fighters to ever exist. Very, very famous, kind of the guy that sparked Dana's interest in all of this. Defeats him on just this past October. And Power Slap 12, he came out. He was on what you would call a dark match. He was in the pre-recordings. There's no crowd, just a few people. We're lucky enough to be there. And I'll never forget. And Corey, you can attest to this. I was sitting there. I wouldn't consider myself to be like a diehard wrestling fan today, but over the years, I've been in tune. I'm not unfamiliar, and I'm kind of like a clout chaser. I'll mess with
Yeah.
the PLEs, right? But I'm familiar enough for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and all I hear is the drums, da da da, and I'm like, what? Oh, da 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 da. Oh, and I'm like, what's happening right now? And I just see Mikini Manu come out. And I'm like, dude, is he coming out to I Am Greatness right now? Is that what's happening? And and he's coming out, dude. He's coming out, and he's doing his walkout, and he's walking, and he's doing the whole thing, and then I'm waiting, and I hear the drop, and I just see his hand go up. And I was like, oh my god, he did not just do this. And
He really
and,
did that. I had no idea.
and unfortunately, he has the footage of it, and I'll ask him to send it to me so I can send it to you because I think he posted it. Unfortunately, at that time, Power Slap wasn't including walkouts when they would air these dark matches. They wouldn't include the walkout because it's
Okay.
most people that's not what they're watching. It's not like pro wrestling where you really care what the walkout look like. Like a UFC fight, when you look at a UFC fight on YouTube, if it's just the fight, you're not going to see the walkout. You're just going to see them in the
Yep.
cage. They'll get announced and then they'll fight. It's the same thing that they used to do with Power Slap until they realized that the walkout was money. It was something people wanted to see.
Dang.
So that footage is not anywhere except in his possession. But it was the
Yeah, I gotta
craziest thing
tell
I
him to
ever.
send me that.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Where I'm going with that is when you take stuff like that, that's so sort of like if you know, you know, and those are moments that you're kind of taking this world, or I'm sure you saw the NFL clip, right? Corey, you'll have to help me with the team, but where the touchdown celebration was him slapping his teammate and like pretending to fall over, like that thing went crazy viral. It was posted about all over the place because it's just a moment that you kind of got to know where you show one element of one game in another game. This
Yep.
was that. So for you, do you feel like that, like there's so many opportunities for you to do that and bring that, being that you're in the mix, you're in the know, to bring all of those elements of your background and what you know into Power Slap to make crazy moments?
Yeah, man, that's what we're all about. Do we're all about going viral. Try to figure out a way. I just hear a lot of static in the background. No, not sure where it's coming from. I don't know. It's probably me. But yeah, definitely. You got to be somebody completely different, especially when we're wrestling. I'm not who I am when I'm at home. Uh, so we just got to make a viral moment somehow. And I think just me coming from how big my family is in professional wrestling, just me walking out on top of that stage, just separating myself from them is gonna be such a big viral moment for me and my family. And like you said, McKean, man, I met him at a WWE tryout, and man, he was showing out just as soon as he walked through the doors of the performance center for a tryout, man, you could just tell and feel his presence there. So man, but I definitely got to talk to him and get a hold of that clip because I want to see that.
It was amazing. I mean, Corey can tell you. I don't know that he knew what I was saying or what I was referencing, but I was blown away because it was the first time that I had ever seen somebody take something so popular and integrate it so perfectly. And Makini Manu, I will say, shout out to Makini Manu. Obviously we love him here, but he's the king of viral moments at this point. Whether it's
Oh
him knocking
yeah.
you out and he's not even looking at you, whether it's you hitting him and him, opening his eye like this and asking, "Did you hit me?" Yeah, yeah. After he got slapped, he does the haka very often. I mean, he has that thing. He's got it, if you will. And so I think if there's anybody to emulate in this side of the sport that's
Oh
doing things right and getting themselves a lot of viral moments is Makini Manu.
man, I
I do
seen
want to.
Juicy do a little jelly roll too.
he did. He did do a little bit of a jelly roll. And I think the first moment of Juicy that I remember was when he came out. He came out in his debut again, a dark match that was in June, and he came out to "Every Day When I'm Walking Down the Street," and I was like, this big guy who's like real scary looking. He's coming out to like what I would think is the Arthur theme song. I don't know where other people might know it from, but I was like, this guy's coming out to "Hey Arthur." That's amazing. Lance,
Wow.
last one for me before I turn it over to Corey. Um, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Have you thought about the risk here for you, for your personal brand? Like, what if you're on the wrong side of a viral moment? What if you're and I'm not trying to scare you away, and if I do, Sin will kill me. But what if you your first time up there, you're laying that you find yourself laying on your back staring at the lights. What's that risk look like? What does that do for you? Is that a concern for you? Have you thought about that? Where's your head on that?
Man, I definitely thought about that. My family thought about that. My wife is the one that's probably more scared than I am. She don't want nothing to happen to my face. To me, there's always a risk. Um, no matter what sport we do, but if I'm on the other end, man, I can still say I went viral, but just on the other end. But man, honestly, like I said, man, my main thing is my kids, and man, I'm gonna keep it 100. Man, the check is still gonna clear no matter what end I'm on, and I'll be cool with that, man, because I still got my kids I gotta take care of.
Awesome, man. Lance, I gotta tell you, I've been sitting here, man, and you're tripping me out here. I'm sitting here looking at, you know, someone of, Hawaiian descent, but I could see you sitting in a country bar in Nashville and you'd be fitting in right just perfectly. Like your accent, everything's going on. Like,
I hear I have a very like country accent. I I don't know where it came from. I am from Pennsylvania, reside in Orlando, Florida right now. But
okay,
yeah, I'm all into country music, man. I listen to it all. But yeah, I don't know where it came from.
too funny, man. Yeah, I gotta throw it out there because I'm like, man, this just isn't all coming together in the picture that I see. But you're a big guy. You talked about it, heavyweight. I mean, I guess on the smaller side for the Samoans, but I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I'm sure you probably lived this your whole life. You talk about the family lineage and, the royalty, and, I'm sure idiots like me and Ding will bring it up many, many times. But do you kind of feel that power slap is a way for you to separate yourself, to create your own legacy, to make your own name, and potentially start something different, still honoring the past, but creating something uniquely your own?
Yeah, I do. As I told you before, I'm definitely separating myself from the whole family. You know, Samoans were always football, wrestling. Now, like we talked about before, the whole Polynesian culture, Samoans in the power slap. And with me being from that lineage, I am separating myself because, hell, I don't think any of my cousins will actually even try to give this a try. Um, because every time I talk to them, they still can't believe that I'm gonna go through with it. And I said, man, I'm locked in. I'm ready. I want to do this. give it a try. Nothing's gonna stop me from trying. That's it, man. And yeah, I just want to be different from everybody else.
For sure. I mean, standing out, that's is definitely important for, just the overall career trajectory of where you go for your well-being, your mental health, everything else. Planning and preparing. Like, what has changed since the camp? What are you doing differently?
Man, honestly, right now, since the camp, it's been very hard because I've been focusing a lot on also pro wrestling. I just had a big match against the Hardy Boys this past week. Also, the holidays. So I told my wife right after the holidays, I want to lock in. I've been watching some Instagram or slap fights. Also, yeah, and I went out and I ordered a bag on Amazon so I can start practicing my swing.
Nice,
And
nice.
now my kids think they got the okay to start hitting me in the face with things.
All of a sudden you're sleeping, you wake up, you're training daddy.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah,
and then my nephew goes, Uncle, I don't want to get it. I don't want to get power slapped. I gotta be good.
amazing. Well, what's kind of the state of, kind of indie wrestling for you right now? I mean, has it grown in popularity with obviously the switch of WWE to Netflix, et cetera? Do you feel like it's kind of a cool, trendy vibe, buzz thing since TKO Group has started? Like, are you starting to see a trickle down effect to some of the other more regional promotions? Like, just kind of health of wrestling, outside of the big organizations. How do you feel it is right now? And do you feel like where do you fit into that kind of mix?
Man, I think wrestling right now for the past few years, it's just been on the highest peak. It's been on the rise, um, especially with WWE, the TKO brand. They're giving these smaller companies the opportunity. Like, for instance, WWE works with TNA. They also work with another company, GCW, who's a smaller indie company. Well, they're growing, and they let their talent go. Row Booker T school. It's just that whole ID program that Jordan Oasis was part of. Just gives that opportunity, and I think all these smaller companies are on the rise. And me being able to work for them and get my name out even more, I just feel like it was a missed opportunity for me with WWE. Yes, I got injured a few times, but I just want to show the world that it was a missed opportunity.
Mhm. You know, kind of having that experience, going through it, working with these different promotions, could you ever see yourself transition on the business side to not necessarily competing, but running shows, promotions, whether it be in wrestling or even if this power slap thing goes well, running other type thing on this side, just with the wealth of knowledge that you've accumulated?
Oh yeah, for sure. I talk to my cousins, everybody. Like, my goal is to give back, and I would love to eventually open up a training center here in Orlando, maybe even like a whole Samoan museum just for everybody to see. I just want to do something to give back. I've been wrestling for 16 years. Um, I know what I'm doing. I know how to train. I trained at my father's school, at my grandfather's school. I helped train there with Tommy Dreamer. But yeah, that was my main goal, is just to try to be able to give back and help all these kids out that want to have the same dream like I did.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I mean, love it. Love the story for sure. In the in the festivities of Christmas, I need you to do me a favor and give me a list of three current power slap heavyweight athletes that are on the naughty list this year that you'd like to slap in 2026.
Man, so now you're gonna get on me now because I probably can't even honestly name three. Man. So
They're not on
yeah,
this level. I'll help you. I'll help you. Jordan
that
Oasis, you got one. That's a freebie.
hey, Jordan Oasis, man, he's good. He's my dog, man. Uh, yeah, Jordan Oasis is definitely one. Um, Dang, you're gonna make me go on my Google. I know I've seen plenty, cause man, like, just a few of the guys I know, like,
Ah,
I know Mecca Wolf. He's not a heavyweight. Um, Stuntman Marshall, man, he's going viral. I see a lot of his stuff, and then a lot of everything is mainly the super heavyweights that
yeah.
I be seeing a lot of.
Yeah, but how do you slap Jordan Oasis? I don't think I've ever met, and I mean, I haven't met a lot of people, but everybody seems to love Jordan Oasis. Just his vibe, his energy, everything that he gives off. Could you do it?
Man, Jordan Oasis?
Yeah.
I, yeah, I think I would do it.
For the right
But
price.
yeah, now Jordan Oasis is very cool, man. He trained wrestling with my uncle out in California. So, man, and then also the work I've done with Jordan down at the Performance Center, we were both down there. But yeah, I would definitely take a smack at him.
All right. Oh, come on. I need you to do something a little bit better for me, Lance. I need you to, I need a clip. I need a little reel. I mean, you got your wrestling background. I need you to kind of frame this in your debut. Let's just say that you would like to face Jordan Oasis in your debut. Cut me a clip and a reel that we can give you some love, my man.
Wait, what was that? What do you want exactly?
I'm just
He
saying.
wants you to cut a promo on Jordan Oasis as your prospective opponent.
Oh, damn, really? Hold on, we do promos and power slap?
We do. Indeed, we do. That's how we get fights.
Oh, damn. Well, then hold on. I don't want to cut on Jordan Oasis because I think I need him for like my second fight or something.
You don't know anybody
I don't. But
All right,
man,
all right. What about at the camp? Was there anybody at the camp that you saw? Because they could potentially be a debutante as well. Is there anybody that you were like, maybe I didn't talk to this person?
man,
a
you
lot,
know who
or
I want to smack?
There we go. There we go. That's what we're
what's his
looking
name?
for.
What's his name that was at the camp? Doug. Um, damn,
just,
was it Doug? What was it?
just the epic.
Yeah,
Doug
just the epic. Doug. Yeah, just the epic.
Yeah.
Doug. I think
Yep,
it's with an
him.
M.
That's what I want. Man, he just ran his mouth the whole damn time at the camp. Man, he wasn't even worried about the power slap. He was just there about promoting. He makes shoes. He makes wrestling shoes. So yeah, that is definitely one person I want to smack. And then especially because then he came up to me and told me, "Hey, I took one of your lines while I wrestle, so now I do it ever since I've seen you at a show." So yeah, he deserves to get smacked right there.
There it was. I like it. I like it. I can live with that. I can live with that. Real quick before you go, I want to have just a quick moment of fun if I can. Between your
course.
cousins Jimmy and Jay, who would win in the slap fight? Those two guys.
Damn. Well, they both got about the same size hand. Um, Jimmy,
Big Jim.
actually, I think Big Jim will get it, but man, yeah, I think Big. I don't know, man. Yeah, I gotta go with Big Jim.
All right, I'll give you what I think is an easier one. In their heyday, your father Samu against Rikishi.
Oh, my father, because I heard
See what I mean? That's an easier one. You can't say not him.
because I heard a story that my dad smacked one of LOD, the Legion of Doom. They smacked him so hard his jaw went flying. Then they smacked him the other way to put it straight again.
I love it. I love it. Well, Lance, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you. Looking forward to a prosperous 2026 for you and your family, and hopefully, Lance Anoa'i will be coming to a Power Slap stage near you. For those of you
Shit,
who are watching this
hopefully.
here. But if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to you and your family. Happy New Year. If you celebrate any other holidays, Happy Holiday. And again, really appreciate the time.
Nah, I appreciate y'all having me. Thank you, and happy holidays to y'all.
Thank you, sir. Lance Anoa'i, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
All right, then.
All right. We've kept them waiting for a while. You got any parting words real quick before we get our last guest in here? He's been sitting in the waiting room for a while, man. He's getting cold. We haven't offered him any coffee, any water. So
Yeah.
what do we got?
I think Lance gets a contract. I think he's a great prospect. I think he's a guy that has a personality. I think we just need to kind of bottle up that energy. Need to give him a directive to be able to go with it. And I think once he gets an opponent, I think he has a good shot at turning some heads and potentially getting some more of that. I think the more wrestling individuals that come into it, especially that have the pedigree, I think the more legitimacy this will run in the wrestling realm, and hopefully parlay into city takeovers when wrestling goes on the road, that you can bring Power Slap with it as well, and not just the UFC.
I like it, man. If you could do me a favor while I bring our next guest in, if you could write that invoice up to Sin Bodie for us matchmaking Lance Anoa'i versus Douglas Malo. I want to make sure we get that paid before the new year, if
Mhm.
possible. So, Sin, if you're watching, go ahead and break that checkbook out. You know, your boys here are doing God's work. But without further ado, we will talk to the man himself. He is the only active power slap striker or person who has competed in power slap that has been on the show this evening. He competed last at Power Slap 16 in Abu Dhabi. Unfortunately, he was not victorious. First time we've ever seen him get knocked out. He is one Casper. Andrew Fields. Is he there still? Or is he? He is there.
What's up?
He is. What's up, brother? How are you? Welcome to the show. Thanks for. I was telling Corey, we left you in the waiting room. We didn't give you any coffee or water. It was rude of us, so I apologize on our behalf. But you're taken care of. I appreciate the preparation.
Yes, sir. You got the ginger ale, you know.
So we last saw you on stage about 2 months ago. Talk to me about where your head's at today. I know, kind of in the immediate aftermath, you had some concerns about the legality of the strike. Of course, it was ruled a clean strike, but you had some I'll call them some qualms or some questions about the legality of the strike. As you sit here today, do you still feel that way? Where's your relationship at with Vince? Talk to me about those things.
The way I feel about it, I still don't necessarily feel like it was the cleanest, but I tried to reach out to Vince whenever like I had originally made my complaint, and I was like, "Hey, brother, nothing against you, you know, it happens." Like, I mean, hell, I mean, I know I've thrown fouls that weren't intentional, so I mean, you know, and it's not up to the fighters at the end of the day to call it. Like, it's up to the refs. So I tried to reach out to him and be like, "Hey, I mean, I don't have any problems with you. I don't think it's your job to call those." And he hasn't responded or answered back. So I don't know. I don't know if he feels like it wasn't necessarily the cleanest or what. But I mean, other than that, I don't know. Relationship is whatever it is. At the end of the day, you know, if you want to get butt hurt because I feel like you clubbed me, then I'm here to make money, not friends. So, I mean, I don't have to be friends with every person that's in this sport.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like the I mean you called it a club, so do you feel like that was the difference maker? Obviously we haven't chatted with you post fight, but was that kind of what? Because and I said it at the beginning of the show. Like we've never seen that from you, and I think actually in the watch along, I don't know if you've watched it, but when we first started, I was like, look, Andrew Fields is not a guy that's ever been knocked out. He's not a guy that gets hurt. So when I saw that, I would say personally I was blown away. For you, what do you feel like led to that moment? Was because Vince is not a guy that we know for, and that's not to say he's not powerful. Of course, he's got a few knockouts now at this point, but he's not known for like very quick, early knockouts ever. And you're not known for getting knocked out at all. So what happened? Why did that happen in your estimation?
I mean, personally, we were called 2 months in advance, asked if we would make 155. I was already on cut, got called like 2 weeks out, was already like 5 pounds off of weight, and was told it wasn't going to happen because Vince was not going to make weight. So he was going to pull the fight. And then I was called and asked if I would do it at 170 anyways. I was like, it's probably not the smartest idea for me to do that. I'm already on weight pretty much. You know, it's going to be hard to get this weight back on after actually cutting down and being prepared to weigh in at champ weight. But, you know, after about $300-400 on a passport, you know, it is what it is. I was like, screw it, let's take it. And then even day of weigh-ins, like 5 minutes before weigh-ins, I chugged 2 half-gallon coconut waters just to weigh in at the weight I weighed in at. So I was walking around already at like 160 max after eating. And so I had to go eat a really big breakfast and then chug water until we got on scale. So I had to basically gain 10 pounds morning of. So it is what it is. And it was a bad fight to take in the first place. So, I mean, I went up a weight class. I ended up on stage. I guarantee it was every bit of 20 pounds more than I was. It is what it is. I mean, if you watch the fight back, I wasn't really a fan of the way I got hit the first time, and I was like, you see me take my mouth guard out, and I'm like, Kerry, what the fuck? Like, what? You're not gonna watch that back? Because I mean, I think I've done this long enough to know where I'm getting hit, and I've been hit high, I've been hit low, I've been hit deep. Like, so I mean, I feel like there's a point when you're 5, 6 fights deep, you kind of know, like, hey, that wasn't right, but it is what it is at the end of the day. You know, we continue. We had a little bit of headache issues and stuff. Went and seen neuro. They recommended another 90 days just because, like, and that's another thing. I don't feel like any clean strike leads to that long of a lasting concussion, but that's just me. Because, I mean, both guys I've knocked out by the time they were up and even coherent again, we were fine. Everybody was outside chilling, hitting vapes together, like no problems. But it is what it is, Like Marshawn Lynch said, I know I'm gonna get got, but I'm gonna get mine before I get got. Though it's part of the game, we come back, we do what we got to do. Like you were just saying, you stand up there long enough, you're gonna go down.
You agree
keep
with
letting
that?
people
You
hit
agree
you.
with that? I'm getting a cosign. That's good. That's good. That's good news, man. Because I fully believe
it
that.
is what it is. It's part of the game, and if you're not prepared to be on your back, you shouldn't be on stage in the first place. I mean, it is what it is.
Man,
And I mean,
said.
I can be irate about it, and I can be pissed, and like I kind of said my piece about it, but I mean, it's not going to change the calls or the outcome of the fight. So I mean, it is what it is. We just keep working. I mean, and as far as it goes, I don't know what's going on with the rankings, but as far as it goes, Vince's welterweight ranking went up, and mine didn't go down in the lightweight. So I mean, we're chilling right there. So, I mean, as far as it goes, I'm just trying to bide my time, do my suspension, stay ready, stay focused. Because I know we got some new talent coming in. I know my boy Brian's coming in. He just went to the combine not too long ago. We got Coach Scrambler coming in. So there's some guys coming in I know are clean, and I know they're working, and I know they're hungry. So I'm ready to see what the next is. Because I know it's not going to be a champ fight. It is what it is. But, Trujillo is talking about all these tall guys. Yeah, I mean, Trujillo will actually make weight. And as far as champ fights go, you got to be able to make weight for the weight class, and you got to be able to make champ weight if you want a champ fight. So just line up the next, whether I love him to death, but whether that's DeFrank, whether that's the new guy DeFrank fought, whether it's somebody from a combine, I really don't care. I mean, at the end of the day, underestimating any opponent standing across from you, we're all grown men. We're all here. We're all here because we have power. We're here because we've shown what we can do. And you don't get on a live card by being a pushover. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up Anthony DeFrank. So he's actually in the chat right now, and he says after Party missed weight, they almost switched it to me and Andrew. Did you know about that?
Yeah. So his opponent missed weight, and the only reason they didn't switch it is because Vince had been cutting just to get as close to my weight as he could to be kind of a gentlemanly agreement. He was like, I'm going to get as close to what you weigh right now as I can. So I ended up coming in heavier than him, but I was chugging water and ate a big ass breakfast right before weigh-ins just to make sure the fight would still happen. Because if I didn't weigh at least 165, it wasn't going to happen because they didn't want that big of a weight mismatch in the first place. That's why they were going to change it around. But then Vince cut the weight he did, so they were like, "Oh, we'll leave it where it's at." But like I said, it is what it is.
So in hindsight, you feel like it was a mistake to proceed with the match?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it wasn't necessarily the smartest idea to go and fight somebody that I knew was going to be an easy 15 to 20 pounds heavier than me on stage. I know what this game is. It's not really a game where you can go in with the way that we do it and have a super big weight mismatch. It's got to be hydration is key. I mean, it is what it is. And I don't know if you guys have been over there, but dude, Abu Dhabi, it was about all you could do to stay hydrated. And then they got us these waters. Day of weigh-ins, they're like, "Hey, quit drinking these waters. Apparently, they're slap full of salt." And I'm like, "Oh, that explains why everyone's felt like crap all week." So, like, yeah, you're telling us to gain weight by giving us salt water, but it is what it is. They weren't told it was a specific electrolyte water. They were just told it's water. So the day they realized, they're like, "Hey, quit drinking those." And it's like, "Oh, well, great. It's day before fights and everyone's super dehydrated from salt water." So
too funny. Andrew, you came in, I believe, March 2023, around the same time Debo,
yeah, me, Debo, Blackburn, Klingbeil, Cody Cox, like a lot of the second wave boys, like we're considered OG now by the newer guys, but like not what I would call OG. I would call us second wave.
For sure. So you kind of come in and you're kind of 50-50 fighter. And then you get that opportunity to go up against Anthony Blackburn. You push him to a unanimous decision. I think in a lot of ways you kind of been clouded and kind of got a lot of your street cred in that fight. And, after that, we didn't see you for the better part of 2 years, but I feel like, obviously life happens, but you still had this mystique to you of a guy that, has a chin, that if you can get back into power slap, could definitely climb up the ranks. You get that opportunity at power slap number 12. You take on Brent Draper, and it seemingly was the very best rendition of, Andrew Fields that we've ever seen. And I think your stock skyrocketed from there. At that particular point, we kind of looked at you, there's talks of, welterweight, lightweight, you came out and you made it known that you wanted to go down to lightweight in that particular moment. Obviously where the opportunity is coming, this didn't exist when you came into power slap.
Right. I mean, I've been telling him I'd go lightweight to fight Trujillo for the better part of 2 years because no one was down there to fight him. I mean, he fought Jewel. He knocked out both of the guys that they brought in to fight him. So I was like, hey, I can make that weight. Real. I can take this for real. I can be professional. I can make the weight I need to make. I can diet to do it. I mean, and I got down to weight, and so here we are. There's a lightweight division now. So, I mean, just let me run over whoever I need to.
Yeah, so I was going to say kind of obviously New Orleans at 14, the thing with Shockey kind of, I hate to say it, took a little bit of steam out of your sails. I think just everyone was kind of hoping to see that repeat after the Brent. And then now most recently the loss to Vince Tracy. Where do you kind of feel your stock is, within the sport, within your ability to get another match? Because when you were here in 2023, you fought 4 times in 1 year. You were super active. We see you twice back in 2025. Where do you kind of feel like you fit? And do you think this next one is really going to be kind of that crossroads for you in your career?
I mean, I think as far as it goes, I don't think anyone should do this forever. This isn't, and I don't think anyone should do this for 5, 10, 15 years the way we see some of these guys do. It is an unguarded hit. You're standing there letting someone hit you as hard as they can. And I know I have a lot of I know I got a lot going on outside of slap. It's not my only avenue. So, I mean, I need this brain function to be as good as it can be. I do a lot of math at work. I know it doesn't seem like it, but pipe welding requires a little bit of trigonometry and stuff like that because you got to be able to know angles and stuff like that. So I'm already slow enough. I'm already forgetful enough. So I don't think I'll be doing this until I'm 40, 50 years old. That's where some of the older guys coming in, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm 41. I'm like, dude, why? You've been MMA fighting for 20 years already. I've already seen highlights of you being flatlined. This probably isn't something you should be doing. I get you're trying to ride that high and you're trying to get on the back end of your career and prove you still got something. But if you've been fighting for that long, I think you've proved whatever you need to prove. So at that point, I don't think you should be doing this. But, I mean, I don't think the next fight would necessarily be a crossroads. I think if I come in and I do like we've seen some people do, and I go from having a decent chin to just getting floored every time I get slapped, then maybe we'll rethink what we're doing here, because eventually, I want to probably transition into some kind of boxing or something like that, just because, why not? We have this avenue that we've been afforded. A lot of us, I don't come from an MMA background or super active, amateur fighting background like a lot of the people they're bringing in now. I didn't play football in college. I don't have 20,000 Instagram followers. So, I mean, to me, it's just, I signed up for this because I was like, hey, I saw Paul Teague on the first season. I was like, hey, I know that dude. And I was like, dude, how'd you get into that? And then, the rest is history. We've been here since, like you said, March of 22, 23. So we've been here for a good bit. And I mean, that's what's wild to me is a lot of the newer guys, they'll come in and they'll be like, oh, what do you know? Oh, what do you know? And I'm like, oh, I know you don't watch this sport. I know that you haven't been around this sport for a while, because there are some guys that come in that have watched this sport and know who the OG fighters are of it. So when you try to give them advice, they're like, I appreciate it. And then you got some of these wrestlers, I love a lot of the wrestlers that I've met, they were Zicky and Martin. I met them in Abu Dhabi. They were more than willing to listen because as Zicky said, this is not a wrestling gym. Like, I wouldn't expect you to come into a wrestling gym and know everything that I know. He's like, so I'm not going to come into slap fighting and act like I already know everything that you know when you could teach me something that's going to help me. So, like, I don't know. I've ran into a couple of the wrestlers that think they're the best thing ever, like, oh, Johnny Magna or whatever his name is. He's like, I'm like, hey, let me give you two pieces of advice. You know, it'll step that up a little bit. It'll keep you from doing this. And oh, what do you know? Who are you? And it's like, clearly you don't know clearly you don't know. So that's fine. I'm not going to keep wasting my breath arguing with someone that doesn't want to be taught to be better. But, you know, it is what it is. I feel like eventually I could do pretty decent coaching this because I've kind of sat down and watched like hours of like, I've watched most of the fights that they have released, and like you can see different body mechanics and like understanding where the slap powers needs to come from and like how to get through on a level shot. Because I've noticed a lot of the like severe, like the best knockouts don't necessarily come from the upwards or the downwards. It's more of that snap back. So it's just keeping that level and pushing through. And but you know, a lot of people don't want to listen to that because what do I know? Because they don't know who I am. Because I've been in a lot of pre-recorded matches for the most part. I've only had 2 on a live card, disqualified against Jewel, and then I just got slept. So I mean, it is what it is. Like there's, you know, all they have seen for me is they're like, oh, this guy has done nothing but lose, and it's like, yeah, but look at who I've lost against, and at this point, it was the top guys in the game. So, I mean, there's no like it's just water off my back the way I see it because you know, in a couple of them, I kind of screwed myself because the match with Jewel, you know, all I had to do was just not move, and now we see people get away with far more movement than I did in that match. So, like, there's things that have changed. There's different, like, you know, what would have been considered a club back when I started is now a perfectly clean slap. So like it's just weird. It's like relearning and learning new rules and what's clean now and what's not and what's allowed. Like even like because when I started, we weren't allowed to move our feet at all. If your foot came up that much, that was a step. So there's the game's evolved a lot, but I mean even the UFC, they make rule changes. Like it's still happening. That's been around for 30 years. So as the game evolves, we'll see more people. But I just want to make sure, like from my standpoint, is with what we're doing we need to continue to be on top of clubs, on top of steps, because with what we do, it is very dangerous. You know, you could very well get an aneurysm on stage. You know, you never know, like, because that could happen. Say you get in a street fight with some guy, you know, you could get hit the wrong way, and next thing you know, you have a massive brain injury. So just like, that's why my thing has always been try to keep it as clean as possible because that man is standing there letting you hit him without moving. So like you kind of owe it to be as clean as you can be while also having as much power as you can to still get the win.
For sure, for sure. I mean, you touched on 2 points that I want to talk to you about. You know, so you've got 6 fights in your career up to this point. Is there a number in your head in terms of matches of what you think you have in your career? Or do you think it's more situational where like, you know, if you start accumulating 2 knockouts in a row, 3 knockouts in a row, like, do you kind of feel that it's more that way situational and when to walk away? Or do you kind of have a predetermined idea? Because you said you need those smarts to do what you do career-wise.
I mean, as far as it goes, like, I think, you know, there's definitely a cap on the number of matches, but who's to say how those matches go? Like, you could come in and be like, oh, I'm only going to do 10 matches. But then you have 8 first-round knockouts and you haven't taken any damage. Or you can be like, oh, I'm going to only do 20 matches, but then you come in and you've been knocked out 8 times in your first 12 matches. Like, maybe you shouldn't do 20 matches. So I feel like it really needs to come down to cognitive function and your own reasoning. And at the end of the day, like, you know, I'm not trying to be like BJ Penn. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be, oh, my family's fake and they replaced them. Like, I'm trying to still be able to function and help raise children and, you know, be a functioning member of society and be able to provide. So I think, and at the end of the day, it really just comes down to taking care of your own health. And when you do get knocked out, take time, heal. You don't be like, oh, call me as soon as possible. No, don't be stupid. You only have one brain. It takes time. It needs to heal. Listen to the doctors. If you get sent to a doctor, like, take advice. Like, don't be the guy that's taking fights, even though he knows he shouldn't. Don't be the guy that, oh, I got knocked out a month ago, but they called me for this fight. Like, eventually, like, you just need to stop. You need to let your brain heal, because your health is, I hate to say it, and like they do really good about like making sure we're safe on stage and getting us seen by doctors if we're like, hey, I'm having this issue. But at the end of the day, like, your safety, your, like, because no one can tell what your brain function is better than you. So like, if you're realizing like, hey, I'm kind of thinking slower, things are a lot more confusing, I know I've had more than enough time to heal, maybe you should think about maybe doing maybe one or two more and hanging it up. That way you're not Muhammad Ali level, like, because brain injuries are serious. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. What we do, there's a very possible, like, it's very possible to get a traumatic brain injury from this. Like, especially like we seen with matches like Brandon Rhodes versus Chief. I, like that match, I don't think it should have went as long as it did. And like, I've talked to Brandon Rhodes, and like even him, like he was like, dude, because I was like, hey, I'm not trying to say like, they should have called that. He was like, nah, you're right, they probably should have called that, but like, in the moment, even if you're out, you're like, no, I'm gonna get up there, I'm gonna hit him. He's just fucking hit me hard. I'm gonna hit him now. So like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. You just got to be in tune with yourself. You got to make sure your star player is taken care of, and at the end of the day, just be smart enough to be like, hey, this is enough. I need to stop doing this.
For sure. Awesome, Andrew. Well, we appreciate you joining us, man. Great catching up. Happy holidays to you and everything that you do. Hopefully get a little bit of time away.
Merry Christmas. Also, Din. Got them lips out, boy. I was like, I got to give you hell, Din. I got to give you hell. It's all right. It's all love, man. Hey. Next year, I want to see Din versus. I want to see Din versus Ryan Phillips. Din gets the first 2 slaps, just because Ryan's got experience on him.
Yeah, I think you have the wrong podcast. I mean, there's a different host that's against Ryan Phillips, not Ding.
No, I'm not saying Ding is against Ryan Phillips. We just need the battle of the ball babies, man.
Oh. Gotcha.
Don't get mad at me, Ding. I love you, bro.
Nah, I'm not mad.
I appreciate everything you do for us, man.
Ryan Phillips has beef with some other people he's got to handle. He doesn't want me and Ryan Phillips got no problem right now, man.
Awesome.
Y'all boys be easy. Have a Merry Christmas. I appreciate y'all having me on.
You too, brother.
Be easy.
Awesome, Ding. I haven't heard from Fields in a while, man. It was great to catch up with him.
Sorry, I'm just trying to fix this here. Hold on. It looks like he's like stuck in cyberspace. Yeah, you're right. We haven't talked to him in a long time. Do you see him? I still see him on. I don't see his photo. I just see his block.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I see as well. Yeah. So
interesting. All right, technology's technologying, but we'll move on. But yeah, I mean, it's Pono's making you eat this, man. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. A lot of people agreed with that. I gotta say, more people than not agreed with that. So I will be interested. Corey, before we close, man, I think we would not be doing our job. There you go. We would not be doing our jobs if we didn't say here publicly what our thoughts are on the Power Stop Awards, man. Who should win what? I mean, obviously we saw Coach of the Year. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody, but I'll pull up the criteria here and we'll go pick for pick. We haven't actually talked about this, so it'll be real of who you think should get it versus me. All right, comeback of the year. Who you got?
Or no? I didn't.
What is it?
Did they have nominees on it? I didn't see it.
They do not. No.
Okay.
So it's open forum. So you pick what you want. So comeback of the year. Who would you pick?
Comeback of the year. Dude, you put me on the spot here, man. You had some time to think about this.
Yeah. You either no slap fight, no you don't, bro. Put up or shut up. Let's go, man.
Comeback of the year has to be Nate Bernard versus Aaron Turner, hands down. I don't think there's any other match that's going to come close to that.
Yep. That was my pick as well. And you know what? If what Andrew Fields just said was to happen, in that you call a fight that's kind of right there on the edge, he used Brandon Rhodes, the Chief as one, and I think that that was sort of set up for an incredible moment. Unfortunately for Brandon, those incredible moments were at the hands and for the benefit of the Chief and not for him. But in the case of Nate Bernard, those Isaiah, I'll get to that. For the in the case of Nate Bernard, that moment set up for what was not only the comeback of the year, the first ever sudden death, and a historic one that I think everybody who was there in attendance will always remember the energy. I wasn't even there, and I felt the energy. So, yeah, comeback of the year. I think if anybody but Nate Bernard gets it, I'd be blown away and disappointed. Rivalry of the year. I also think it's very easy, but I'll let you go ahead and indulge me here.
You go first on this one. I'll let you have the floor.
Well, I think the only real rivalry that there was is Isaiah and Brandon. Obviously, it's the first chapter of that rivalry started in December, so not quite part of the year. But the second two parts were obviously March and October, and being the way that it happened, it was back and forth. I just think it poetry in motion. Whether you liked it, whether you thought the social media banter was cringy at times, whether you didn't like to see guys who actually have a real friendship turn sour, whatever that looked like to you, it was in fact probably the only legitimate rivalry in the sport. So therefore, by default and also by many people's standards, rivalry of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm just trying to look real quickly here if it happened fully in 2025. But yeah, I was gonna say Chief versus Darren Godfrey. I mean, I think could also fall in there as a secondary. Obviously, I think it's a distant first to Isaiah and Brandon, but definitely worthy mention as well because those two guys went at it for the better part of the year and the culmination of the two matches that they had.
Awesome. All right, who do you got for chin of the year?
Chin of the year. You know what? Win, lose, or draw, I'm going to give it to Brandon Rhodes. Honestly, just for seeing him in his match versus the Chief and him being able to get up, continue to get up and just, take it, man. I think Brandon Rhodes.
I was not expecting that. I'm the conductor and the chief of the Dorian Perez hype train, man. I think Dorian's chin of the century. Anytime you are asking the question, I saw, McKinney's right there. You can't discount McKinney.
Mm.
I think Dorian I think it was the third round against Damien DeBell looked similar to McKinney in the second round against Dumpling. So both of those guys have had that moment that was where you kind of were like, oh, that's different, very subtle, but I do have to point it out, and I think because of that, I would probably say McKinney and Dorian could be co-winners on that one. I've heard the argument of Robert Trujillo. Unfortunately for him, man, he only faced Dakota McGregor this year, and I just don't think that that's enough of a resume for you to be declared chin of the year when you only competed against one person. All right, upset of the year.
You want to take the first one?
Who did I say for upset of the year? Upset of the year, I said. So I have a caveat to mine. So my original pick, and I'll stick with it. No. My original pick was Logan versus Russell. I think that was a deep rooted, slap fighting upset. But I've heard the argument of Blackburn Cole, and I've seen the odds on Blackburn Cole, and I think that wins it because of the odds. But my personal pick initially was Logan versus Russell Rivero. However, I think the winner, based on just the rules that I would associate with the upset, would be Cole versus Anthony Blackburn. Is that how you pick? You're shaking your head emphatically.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think that's a great one, man, for the matchup and the aura that Anthony Blackburn had going into that match, and just Cole just didn't have the resume. So I think just in retrospect going into it, I think hands down, definitely there as well. But I mean, I was going to pull another one out of the hat. Alan Klingbeil over Luke Simons, I think was also, a big upset in a lot of ways because Luke Simons was kind of that next man up. Alan Klingbeil was kind of a guy that, had all the pieces, didn't necessarily put it together. He went in there in emphatic fashion and was able to take the victory over that one, which propelled him obviously for a shot at the title. But I don't think a lot of people seen Alan Klingbeil in that match coming and being victorious the way that he did over Luke Simons.
Yeah, shout out to Henry. Henry was the guy that kind of made the Blackburn Cole argument and brought the odds with it. So Henry, if you could, man, hit us up and let us know what the odds were for Alan Luke's two when it first came out. That'd be cool. All right, Corey, you're rookie of the year. I think male and female is fair. So go ahead and do rookie of the year for both men and women.
Rookie of the year. I'm not sure the rules around what kind of this is a debut in 2025. Is that how we're defining rookie?
Yeah, that's how I define a rookie. Yeah.
All right, man. I'm gonna ride the hype train until it hits ground zero. But one stunt marshal, I haven't seen as much aura around somebody as one stunt marshal. A guy that is polarizing, whether you love him or you hate him. You have a personal opinion about stunt marshal. I think he goes to the grocery store and he pisses people off just by his physical appearance. The short shorts, his big, beautiful calves that he's got. He's rocking those BBCs on the regular. And, I think one stunt marshal has a great future. I think people are excited about the prospects of him. And to go in there and take, the victory over AJ Static Hints the way that he did, I didn't think anybody's seen that coming. I think they wanted to show and see if stunt marshal really had it. Could they take it from a guy like AJ Static Hints? Because obviously, the former light heavyweight champion. And stunt marshal walked through it just as he did in his first match up against Dante Smiley. And I think he's, definitely rookie of the year on the male side from my perspective.
Yeah, I picked Stunt Marshall as well. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Excuse me. No disrespect to anybody.
Go first.
Who would you take for female?
I know Ellie Dempster. I think Ellie coming in, man, it's just what she's been able to do, the accumulation of it, how fast she's been able to do it. And the trajectory and the path that she's on, I think, is really setting her up well.
You know what? Initially, I said that. That was my first instinct as well. But somebody brought up a good point. Forgive me, I don't remember who it was. I'd love to shout you out if I find out who you were. I'll shout you out on our story. But Abby Montez. Abby Montez is another one who had, I think. When you look at Ellie faced in her debut, right, the disqualification of Michael Michelle Brown, I think that was probably a little bit, unflattering per se. I don't think it showed Ellie's full skill set. Hollywood, I believe, is where she kind of came out, and it was her coming out party. On the flip side, the way Abby disposed of Jackie Thomas very quickly, took a shot, issued a shot, sat her down. And then to go against Jackie Catalan, who's at this point has her stripes, has been around, has faced the best of them, who is a sizable athlete herself, for her to be able to do what she did to her as well, pretty dominant on one side. I see the argument for both, so I'm indifferent. I think both ladies, you have an argument. Abby Montez kind of coming out of nowhere. As you were talking, I was thinking, I'm like, who was it? And it's Abby Montez, and I don't disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What else? What other categories you got? Knockout of the year.
Yeah. Let me go first. There's a couple good ones, man. There's a couple good ones. There's a personal favorite. There's a personal favorite, and then I think there's a real favorite.
So the one that I picked, and I'll stay here. I won't take yours because I think I know where you're going. But the one that I picked was Austin Turpin Vern Cathy, just because it was like he shut him off. I've never seen such a thing. Vern just kind of like life out of him, on the table, very cartoonesque, very flamboyant, and it was real. Not to mention all the stuff that kind of went into that match, right? The return, is Austin still the guy? All of it. So I picked Austin Turpin versus Vern Cathy.
All right. So my personal favorite is one Johnny Magna over Ricky South. And I think I love it because he told Ryan Phillips off from the get-go, but it was a phenomenal knockout. And actually, Johnny Magna could also be somebody who's, just a little bit more low-key, but, caveat, he gets a slap news Rookie of the Year, honorable mention. I think he can have big future in 2026.
Wait. You said Johnny Magna's, you said like a quieter guy, or what was the word that you just used to describe him?
It's not as well known as to where I'm going here.
Oh, okay.
That's where I'm going here. Because I think knockout of the year is actually Antipov versus Zhao. And I know it took place in the Middle East, but the ramifications that particular match had and the virality that it had in China, as well as in Eastern Europe, and back here in North America. That really took the news cycle by storm for 30 plus days. Obviously, we know Zhao had a chin. Antipov put him down a number of times that was able to put him away. The way the knockout was done, obviously Zhao laying there with his eyes rolled to the back of his head, looked like he was dead. Like there was just so many things to me that make that match knockout of the year.
You know what? I didn't think you were going there, but you know what? You're absolutely right. I think Ementayev, I think he did a good job, and especially switching to the left, right? The first two shots with the right, cosmetic, kind of aesthetic damage, and then he goes to the left and puts him out. Beautiful moment. The one that I've heard, I'll give it an honorable mention. And it's just so hard, is Stunt Marshall versus Dante Smiley, right? The kind of stiffness. My only argument to that, or my rebuttal to that, if you will, would just be number one. Generally, we don't see guys win more than one award. That's kind of, I don't want to say unfair. If you earn it, you earn it. But I think it just doesn't make sense. If you're gonna give out awards, give us awards to as many people as you can versus repeating guys unless somebody's like miles ahead. For example, if the rookie of the year happens to be the comeback of the year, whatever the case is. But Dante Smiley, kind of stuck in that position. I get it. My only rebuttal to that would be, what about Jordan Oasis? He knocked out Jackson Slade. Jackson Slade was also in a very stiff position. Although he eventually gets up, it was the same in the beginning. So I don't know that I would.
I just think main card versus tape. I think main card versus tape also plays a bit of a factor.
Yeah, fair point.
Of it all.
All right, two more here. Match of the year. You go first.
Oh, I'm going to say a bit of recency bias here. But I actually think Ron Beta, Alan Klingbeil could be a great match of the year. The way that both those athletes went to the decision. Ron continued to do what he does and defy father time. Alan Klingbeil coming in and showing that he has the chin to be able to stand up there against Ron. Very close, almost was able to outgame Ron and pull out a victory. Obviously, it didn't happen, but just Alan impressed us. Ron impressed us. I think overall, just the narrative of what that was. At Power Slap 16, I think really for me is match of the year.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that, and I'll rebut. I know some people said Cole and Blackburn. While that was a great match, I thought obviously it was one sided, right? Like if you look at the scorecard, it was very one sided. Blackburn had a moment or two, but it was largely Cole Young, and that's no disrespect to Anthony Blackburn by any means. I'm just, again, you can look at the scorecard. He fought as valiantly as he could, but he got dropped 3 times. So I can't consider that match of the year because it wasn't a back and forth. It was very dominant on one side. He had the one moment where he dropped Cole. A couple times he had him kind of walking backwards, but it was very Cole-sided, which was surprising. And I think that makes for a very unique and a viable upset of the year, but not quite match of the year. On the flip side, another one I heard was Nate Bernard and Aaron Turner. I don't think Nate Bernard and Aaron Turner was a great match. I think that the beginning and the end was phenomenal. I think rounds 2 and 3 were very uneventful. It was obviously both for Nate, excuse me. That was when he came back, right? Aaron Turner drops him in the first, gets a 10-8. He wins 10-9 in rounds 2 and 3. Nothing spectacular there. And then they did the sudden death, and it was so I think the bookends, first round, last round, were kind of exciting. Were very exciting, excuse me, not kind of. But I don't think as a whole match. So I'm looking whole match. Ron and Allen, for me, was back and forth. Then the sudden death was just the cherry on top. It was very competitive. That's why I feel like that would get my match of the year. No disrespect to any of the other great matches that there were. And last but certainly not least, Corey, striker of the year. We'll do male and female. Is it my turn to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I said Makini Manu, right? 3-0 this year with 2 knockouts and then a win over the Dumpling. And then he's my male striker of the year, of course. Among the viral moments, just the performances, right? Knocks out Steven Rousey, knocks out Dwayne Crespo, and defeats the Dumpling via decision. So not only is he very active, but he's very dominant generally. And then on female striker of the year, honestly, it sucks because she's kind of female striker of the year every year if she competes. But I give it to Sheena. Sheena with the win at Power Stop 11 over Jackie Catalan, and then the win again in Abu Dhabi against, in not Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia against Robin Wershuk.
Yeah, I mean, feel like this is the one award that an athlete could win twice in. You know, if you win one of the other awards, you could win Striker of the Year, and I think nobody bats an eye at it. And Striker of the Year, I'm going to go with one Wolverine, Ron Beta. We've seen him 3 times in Power Slap. You talked about knockout, you talked about knockout of the year, you know, with Austin Turpin. You could also potentially say the Wolverine versus Vernon Cathy knockout of the year, even though it did take place in January, could also be up there in the candidates. So I think what he's done there, the legendary match that he had with Alan Klingbeil, I think puts him in a position to have 2 ticks on my side. The match with Russell Rivera was a little bit of, a weird match to say the least. But overall, I think just the accumulation of what Wolverine has done throughout the entire year, defying Father Time, puts him as my male Striker of the Year in Power Slap. The other champs, Damien DeBelge didn't fight enough. Robert Trujillo didn't fight enough. So I think for me, that's really where, and say even with, the Hawaiian Hitman also just wasn't active enough to really be able to come up in that position. And on the female side, where I'll say disagree with you because I think Sheena's obviously worthy of it, but I actually think Ellie Dempster deserves Striker of the Year on the female side for the 2
Striker and rookie.
100%. Why not? If you're a superstar,
rookie is Striker. It's like Striker Junior because you're new.
Yeah, but if you're that damn good and your name is Ellie Dempster, you can take home both of the awards.
Nah, I like Ellie Dempster a lot. Yeah, I like her a little less because she claims Canada. But I cannot sign off on her being Striker of the Year over Sheena.
Took out Michael Michelle Brown.
I can't do it, bro.
Took out Haley J.
All right. Stop. A clip. No. Clip time. Come on. Clip time. So I say Striker of the Year for the women is Sheena Bathory. She takes out Jackie Catalina in January at Power Slap 11, takes out Robin Wershuk in October at Power Slap 17. Very dominant in both. Your Striker of the Year is who?
Ellie Dempster.
And why?
Because she took out Michael Michelle Brown and Hollywood Haley J, setting herself up for a super match with Paige Van Zandt whenever and if or Paige Van Zandt wants to take that and have the first ever women's belt.
All right, your eggnog is spiked, man. But all right, and listen, I chose Ellie for rookie. That's all you're gonna get from me. I cannot sign off on in good faith. Sheena being beat out for Striker of the Year by Ellie, no shot. But we'll see. We'll see what the people think. Corey, close us out, man. Let's get them out of here. Let's get them on their Christmas holiday, and everybody, Santa Claus is coming.
All right. We appreciate everybody for joining us. Obviously, we're here at Slap News. Myself, Ding, Jeeves, Ray, Art, 3F, everybody in the team.
Tyler, don't forget Tyler.
Exactly. Tyler, the very best to you and your family during the holiday season. We appreciate you joining us specifically on this special edition. And we're coming to you one day early, whether you're watching it live or you watch it on the replay. Much love and respect for all the support that you've given us throughout the entire year. We want to continue to work feverishly for you in 2026 to continue to be the leading slap fight coverage in the game. Take care. Take some time away. Disconnect. Enjoy the family. Enjoy the, real in life, presentation. Get off the phone. Get off the device and just have a little R&R and get back at it the new year and make sure you crush it. Take care, and we'll see you guys again next week.